Have you ever been in the presence of someone who just has to be right? They have to be on top of everything. And as time goes on, you begin wondering, if you're so right, and if you're as wonderful as you portray that you are, why do you have to come on in such a strong and overwhelming kind of way? And when you think that way, actually, you're picking up on the fact that there's something behind the scenes that's incongruous with what they're actually portraying, and there's a hidden insecurity there. Now, I want to give you an illustration. This is pretty blatant about how this can play out. Several years ago, I was at a conference, and there were people there that were being asked questions in a panel discussion kind of a format. And one of the people on the panel was tossed a question, and before he gave his answer, he tried to pull a humble brag. So he sat there for a moment and let the question just kind of hang in the air. And then, trying to look pensively, he said, "Well, I'm the best." Gave a dramatic pause, and then he went on and gave his answer. And I thought, did I just hear that? Now, this fella just had to let it be known there are all sorts of answers, and then there's, well, me. And in doing so, it made you wonder, well, if you're so much the best, then why do you have to tell everybody that? And it came across as rather disingenuous and rather insecure. And yet, when the narcissist has that attitude about themselves, in their mind, that excuses them for being controlling and always having to be right. They invalidate you. They don't receive input. They have an attitude of entitlement. They can be manipulative and exploitive because I'm the best. So what I want to do is I want to see if I can portray to you, I have 10 different thoughts or attitudes that might be conveyed by that narcissist. And I want us to see that when you hear of these kinds of attitudes being played out, there's probably an alternative thought behind the scenes that it gets more accurate to who that person is. So let's take a look at these. For example, the first thing that you might hear from a person, and this is where that guy on the panel was coming from, and that is, I have to be the final authority around here. Now, behind the scenes, what they're really saying is, I didn't learn lessons in human relations, realizing that authority is built upon learning many other points of view. You know, if you're going to be an authority, then you want to make sure that you've thought things through in a real broad and well-rounded kind of way, and you seek out other people's ideas and thoughts, and in doing so, then you are able to take the best of what other folks have and integrate it with where you are. That's how you get your sense of authority. The narcissist is like, no, I don't need your input. When I think something, end of discussion. And that's how they operate. But behind the scenes, it's like, no, they miss some good lessons in human relations. Or a second attitude is, you're not allowed to disagree with me. In other words, you're wrong. And basically, what they're saying behind the scenes is, I'm afraid that if you disagree, then that means you think that I'm a nobody. That's what's really going on beneath the surface. Now, they'll never admit that, but that's behind the scenes. Or a third thing, and I'm sure you've been on the receiving end of this attitude quite a bit, and that is, you're stupid. And when they say that, what they really mean behind the scenes is, I learned a long time ago that the way to keep myself elevated is to find things wrong with you. And so, again, it's like, well, if that's the way that you want to maintain human relations, that's a very poor way to build relationships. Or a fourth attitude that a narcissist might portray, and that is, I have to associate with the best people, and you're not one of them. Which is their way of saying, my self-esteem is built upon shaky externals. Narcissists, they want to look the best, they want to be around the best, they want to be associated with ideas and material things and things like that make them look like they have the show or the sign of success. But it's their way of trying to build their sense of well-being upon something other than true inner dignity and true inner calm and peace. They don't have inner peace. It's all based on externals. Or how about a fifth attitude that they can sometimes portray? And that is, I don't need to apologize. Now, behind the scenes on that one, what they're saying is when people make mistakes, I associate that with shame. And so I don't mind putting shame on you, but I can't admit mistakes within myself because that means that I am a shameful person and I have lost my sense of well-being. And that's a huge thing that narcissists struggle with. They've learned the shame language way back in their early days. And so it's when somebody comes along and says, hey, there's a better way to think, or you miss something on this, it's like, no, I can't say anything like that because that means that I'm no longer an okay person. And they take it as an attack upon their character. Or a sixth attitude that they can portray, and that is, I want you to admire me. And behind the scenes, what that tells me is I'm emotionally needy. I'm very hungry and insecure, and I've got to have your approval. That's what they're really saying, although they'll never say that out loud. Or how about number 7? You are not, nor will you ever be, my equal. And basically, behind the scenes, what they're saying on that one is, seeming ordinary or seeming like all of the other people out there threatens me. Somewhere along the way, they kind of got the notion that if you're just an average Joe or Jane, which, what does that mean? Then that means that there's just nothing spectacular about you at all. And they've got to have that extra oomph of well-being that comes from just knowing that they're better than the vast majority of people out there. And so equality is not something that they want to hold on to or embrace at all. Or how about the next one? I truly don't care what you feel. Now, that's a very common theme that narcissists will portray. I don't care what you think. And the difference between you and me is you care about what everybody else feels. I don't. As if that's a good thing. Now, behind the scenes, what that means is I never got good lessons on tenderness. They don't learn empathy. They don't learn how to go inside someone else's feelings. Chances are no one really did that very well with them. And so when they say, I don't care what you feel, really it's their way of saying, I don't know how to deal with that. I don't know what to do with the personal and emotional side of life. I'm inept there, but I'll just let you know it's irrelevant anyway. You're irrelevant. Or how about number 9? I can't trust you to make good decisions. Now, basically, what they can say on that is recognizing your freedom to decide for yourself is something that threatens me. They don't want people to be free to think and feel and interpret on their own. So what they'll just say is, well, I just can't trust you. And so their need to be in control is so deeply embedded in them that they forget, well, everybody has a free will and everybody has the privilege to decide for themselves who they want to be, but that's not something they want to factor in at all. Or how about a 10th attitude that they can portray? And that is, I can criticize you, but you can't criticize me. Now, behind the scenes, what that tells me is, my ego's fragile. I don't mind tearing you down, but if you say something that's bad about me, I can't deal with it. Rather than just taking it in and saying, okay, thanks for the input, they can't think that way. So as you realize that there's the public persona of the narcissist where they have to elevate themselves, but then there's the behind the scenes insecurity that's there that they simply cannot come to terms with at all. I want you to pick up on a couple of themes as you figure out how to respond to this. Now, first and foremost, don't let that person's overconfidence get underneath your skin to the point to where you have to wrestle against that. Now, what I mean by that is sometimes the narcissist can come across in such an overwhelming way that you find yourself trying to convince them that they're wrong. You find yourself having to justify and rationalize. You go into a high defense mode. Sometimes you just shut down because you think, well, I don't know what to do when I'm around this overwhelming person. And in doing so, you're letting that person's false confidence establish the atmosphere, and you're playing right into it, which then leads to a second primary thought, and that is, give yourself permission to think separately. Once you're able to see that this false confidence is just that, it's a compensation for a lot of hidden insecurities and misassumptions about life, then I'm hoping that you can decide, I need to learn how to think differently. I don't need to take my cues from this person. So what do I believe about me? What do I believe about a healthy life? What do I believe about the ways to manage relationships? And I'm going to live according to my well-conceived thoughts about what's right and best and wise. Now, let's close with this thought. In that narcissist's overconfidence, they're trying to let it be known, I'm the one around here who matters, and I'm the only one around here who matters. You don't matter, and keep your thoughts and feelings and perceptions to yourself. Now, the backside of that is you don't have to participate in that kind of thinking. Their thinking is based upon all sorts of flawed reasoning, and as you're able to see behind the curtains, I'm hoping you can decide, I feel badly for them. Some of you don't, but I feel badly for them that they think that way, but that person isn't going to be in charge of who I'm going to be from this day forward. Now, I do hope that you gain some from the videos that you watch here. You'll notice beneath the video that there's the subscribe button. I would invite you to click that on. You'll notice also that I have some links beneath the video for some books and some online workshops. Avail yourselves of that. Just know that I enjoy doing these videos. I get good feedback from you, and I'm wanting to speak into it in such a way where it makes a difference in the way that you run your life. And I'm just pleased and honored that you would allow me to be a part of your thinking process as you're trying to move forward. And I will see you next time.